to the 2023 Maquoketa High School Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We have a fantastic night ahead of us. Unfortunately, we did not get the weekend started out the way that we wanted to. Mother Nature did not cooperate at the home Cardinal victory last night. And unless you were a duck, it probably was not a place you wanted to be. It was awfully wet, but again, we are here tonight to celebrate you, so thank you for being with us here tonight. The Maquoketa High School Hall of Fame is really an eclectic group. From a Nobel laureate to a homegrown journalist that highlighted the best in every athlete he ever wrote about, from a starting NFL quarterback to a 3-time world champion bareback rider. From a wrestler who never lost a mat in high school and went on to be a 2-time NCAA wrestling champion, to a legendary vocal instructor and educator that led countless vocalists in Maquoketa and throughout the state and nationally. Philanthropist whose name are on the side of the Children's Hospital, and an artist who had her work displayed at the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery, and many, many others. So, what a group. Tonight, we're here to add to that prestigious group. Educators, leaders, athletes, administrators, and those that made the ultimate sacrifice. Haley, Dennis, Kim, Ron, Gerald, and Ron. Welcome to your new home, the Maquoketa High School Hall of Fame. Before we move on to the events of the evening, I'd like to thank a few people. First of all, I would like to thank the Country Club. Thank you for hosting us here this evening. We would like to thank Geronimo's Catering. I know they're cleaning up and sneaking out the back door, but thank you, Geronimo. And also, we'd like to thank Missy Dostal for the donation of the cupcakes, the cookies, and the cake here this evening. So again, thank those people for it. We also would like to thank our table sponsors. Take a time to look through your program, look on your table as you're walking around and see the table placards that are out there. We truly appreciate all of our table sponsors for being with us here this evening. So a round of applause for our table sponsors. Also, I need to thank our Hall of Fame committee. If you're a Hall of Fame committee member, as I call your name, please stand up. Tom Grunwald, Doug Nickram, Jeff Tampier, Kent Crawford, Tracy Waller, Dan Piercy, Lisa Etkin, Kevin Bowman, and Devin Harden. Without these people and their work, we wouldn't be here tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. And ladies and gentlemen, especially tonight, we need to thank you, all of you. Without you, tonight doesn't happen. Because of you, we have nominees, and you are here tonight to celebrate them. So again, give yourselves a round of applause. We appreciate it. You know, the Hall of Fame grew from just an idea back in 2014 to where it is today. The first class we actually celebrated and inducted in 2016, and we have celebrated greatness each year since then with one hiatus due to COVID. The Maquoketa High School Hall of Fame is an esteemed tribute to the outstanding past and present achievements of former Cardinals. The Maquoketa High School Hall of Fame was founded to promote pride in Maquoketa High School. The purpose of the Maquoketa High School Hall of Fame is to recognize distinguished graduates, employees, supporters that have distinguished themselves by their individual contributions in academics, athletics, fine arts, career, community service, and/or society as a whole. It truly is amazing what the individuals that have been inducted into this Hall of Fame have accomplished. So it's amazing to be part of that. At this time, I would ask anyone in the building that is currently a member of the Maquoketa High School Hall of Fame, please stand up. Again, it's always nice to have you guys back. Thank you for being here with us tonight. And we are here to add in to your group and celebrate. Now, the Hall of Fame Committee needs your help for nominations to continue our mission. We encourage everyone to submit a nomination to the committee. Don't assume someone has already been nominated to the Hall of Fame, because everyone else may have made that same assumption, and that individual may not have even been nominated. It's better to be nominated several times than not at all. Be very specific when you do nominate someone. The committee uses only the information that is in your nomination form when you submit it to judge that nomination against the others. So again, the more specific you can be with the nomination, the better, and we appreciate that. Tonight, each inductee has chosen someone very special to them to be their presenter. This person will be the one that will introduce them to the stage and invite them to speak with you at tonight's ceremony. And now, let's get on with tonight's induction ceremony. It is time for me to bring to the stage Lowell Schroeder.
Very loud speaker. I'm certainly not.
Let's see if that's on. It is.
It's on. It's on. Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight, and congratulations to the inductees of the Maquoketa High School Hall of Fame. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Lowell Schroeder, and I am honored to speak on behalf of this group of inductees. I was a classmate and schoolmate of Ron Stein, Ron Sagers, and Gerald Powlistha. I knew each of these men and saw them every day at Maquoketa High School. I'm also a proud veteran of the Vietnam War. Unlike Sagers, Stein, Powlistha, and over 58,000 other casualties of Vietnam, I got to come home. The three men being inducted into the Maquoketa High School of Fame should never be forgotten. These men, their young lives were cut short by a war that no one wanted. They never got the opportunity to experience life. With the exception of Ron Sagers, they didn't get to marry. They didn't get to have kids, grandkids, have a career, buy a house, or do anything that we take for granted. They didn't get to grow old. However, they did answer the call, put on the uniform, and honorably served their country and gave the ultimate sacrifice. It is said that when one enters the military, you give the government a blank check, payable to the United States of America for an amount up to and including your life. The checks were cashed for these three young men. These men were nominated as a group because to the best of our knowledge, they were the last known deaths during a military action of graduates from Maquoketa High School. This being said, they were still individuals, with each having their own story. The term hero is used almost every day in our country, and rightly so in most cases. When I give the stories of three inductees, I'm sure the term could also be applied to them. But they would probably say, I was just doing my job. I'd like to begin with Sergeant Gerald Powlistha, Company E, 1st Battalion, 505th Infantry, 82nd Airborne Division, United States Army. Maquoketa High School class of 1966. Gerald's parents were Louis and Ruth Powlistha. Gerald was a very quiet, almost shy kid. He didn't participate in athletics. He wasn't in band, and he wasn't in music. We knew Gerald as a tall, skinny, gangly kid who always had a smile on his face when someone said hi. And a high back would be about all you would get in return. Gerald was liked by everyone who knew him, even though he only had a couple of really good friends. Those good friends couldn't have asked for a better one. I was told by his best friend that when he was gravely ill, the first thing he saw when he finally came around was Gerald's smiling face, smiling from ear to ear. His best friend was back. Gerald was a young man of good character. Gerald was not a real good student. His study habits were poor, and he and his friends would rather be working on cars and messing around than be in school. But with his friends helping him study, he made it through and graduated. Gerald and his buddies were into muscle cars. He had a '68 Mustang. His friends liked road runners. They spent a lot of time in Davenport cruising the one-ways and eating 10 for $1 burgers at McDonald's. They would all order chicken. Gerald was inducted into the Army February 14, 1968, and was sent directly to Vietnam after advanced training school. He attained the rank of sergeant while in Vietnam. Sergeant Powlistha lost his life on June 5, 1969, in the Vietnam Province, Republic of Vietnam. There are conflicting reports as to how Sergeant Powlistha was killed. One report stated he was providing bridge security on airboats near Saigon. Another report said he was killed by an IED while on bridge patrol. And yet another stated he was killed as they were flowing up a bridge to slow enemy advancement. I received a phone call from a classmate who was in basic training with Gerald. They never saw each other again after basic. He did, however, run into one of Gerald's soldier friends who served with him in Vietnam. He confirmed he was killed on bridge security near Saigon. He also stated that Sergeant Powlistha was one hell of a soldier. Sergeant Powlistha had been in Vietnam for 10.5 months and was to be moved to the rear and begin preparing to go home the next day. He was 21 years old. Sergeant Powlistha was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart. He had previously been awarded the Bronze Star for heroism and the Army Commendation Medal and other actions. The Bronze Star is the 4th highest honor given in the military. An old neighbor of the Powlistha's told the story that Gerald had sent a little teddy bear to his mother. It arrived the same day the Army came and notified him of his death. With us tonight are Sergeant Powlistha's niece, Donna Gilbert, from Antioch, Illinois, and nephew, Richard Powlistha. The Powlisthas have asked Carl Keeney to say just a few words. Carl?
I really appreciate it. And I won't speak too long, but I just did want to say that Lowell had contacted me about nominating Gerald for the Hall of Fame with Ron, the two Ronalds, as I say. And I was very honored to give him some input because Gerald and I were both pretty much alike, very quiet, shy kids, but we did everything together. We rode our bikes until the tubes were burned out, and he and I knew each other very well, and I can still remember the day when we talked about his mother giving the teddy bear, and I was the first one that she called to let know that Gerald had killed in Vietnam. And I'm very proud to be his friend. I always hope he, the day I die, I hope that I'll get to see him never. But he was a very kind, caring, loving friend. And I want his family, that are here tonight, were very young when he was killed. They were little children, his brother's older children. So I want them to know that he was an awesome, caring individual, and I'm very happy to have him as a friend. He was going. Thank you.
Next, I'll talk about my classmate, Ronald Stein, Fox Company, 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marine Division, United States Marine Corps. Ron's parents were Marvin and Irene Stein. Ron Stein was a very popular student at Maquoketa High School. I don't think there was anyone in school who didn't know him. He was always friendly, outgoing, never flaunted his abilities. He was a very well-liked individual. Ron was also a good athlete, an exceptional track man. Ron set or tied records that would last for 20 years. He was very well known around the Walnut Conference and the state for his speed. Ron was a sprinter in every sense of the word, whether it was the 100, the 220, or the 440-yard dash. You better be ready for him because he would beat you. Ron qualified for the state tournament and the dashes or a relay 3 straight years. His senior year was plagued with injuries and all began to distract him. I doubt if his letter jacket could have held any more medals. Ron also lettered in football and baseball. There's not enough time here to list all of his athletic accomplishments. The Steins moved to Waterloo after Ron's graduation. Ron worked at the Waterloo Corrugated Box Company with plans to attend Iowa Teachers College before entering the Marines. I'd like to talk about his sacrifice. Ron Stein entered the Marine Corps in February 1966. He received his training at Camp Pendleton, California, and on April 22nd, 1966, Ron earned the title United States Marine. Private Stein was sent to Vietnam in August of 1966, where he would achieve the rank of corporal. Corporal Stein would be wounded 3 times in 5 months. He was wounded in November 1966 and again in February 1967, returning to duty each time. Having completed his tour, Corporal Stein was on board a ship to Japan when the ship was called back to a large NVA offensive. His final injuries occurred in the Quang Tri Province, Republic of Vietnam. In Vietnam, to control a hilltop was strategic. You could control a large area if you kept the hill. The Battle of Quai Son was conducted in northwest Quang Tri Province, starting in 1967 and extending viciously throughout 1968. It was the longest, deadliest, and most controversial battle of the Vietnam War. The cost of American lives has been estimated to be around 1,000. Corporal Stein had previously been awarded 2 Purple Hearts. In his last battle at Hill 778 near Quezon, Corporal Stein suffered wounds from small arms fire and shrapnel. If he had mentioned his previous injuries, he would have automatically been sent home. He didn't. Having been assigned as a platoon leader, he refused evacuation to stay with his platoon. On May 9, 1967, while being treated for his wounds in the field hospital tent, he was overrun and all were lost. 23 other Marines lost their lives in that battle. The Marines suffered their largest casualties of the war during the hill fights, which is documented in the book by the same title. His unit was scheduled to leave again the next day. His third Purple Heart was awarded posthumously. He also received the Marine Corps Presidential Unit Commendation and the Vietnam Gallantry Cross. Lowell Stein was 20 years old. With us tonight is Ron's nephew, Dr. Jeffrey Stein, and his wife Joyce from Arizona. Jeff would like to say a few words.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. Ron Stein is my uncle. Not was, is. I was 5 years old in 1967 when he was killed in action. My memories of him were as a 5-year-old, riding on his shoulder, ice cream cones, fireworks, fair, and this little casual beetle that he loved to scare the bejesus out of you with. He was much more than that. He was a son, he was a brother, he was a cardinal, and he was a Marine. My dad told me my uncle was the kind of person who wasn't going to let you beat him. Over the course of the past week I've spent here in Maquoketa, I've heard from many people about the positive effect that he had on their lives. He was a fierce competitor. He carried that with him to the end. As Lowell said a few moments ago, my uncle had the opportunity to return home. The day before he was killed in action, his squad leader was killed, and he was appointed leader of his squad. He refused to leave his squad without a leader for a second day in a row. That cost him his life. I know he was a great athlete. As Lowell said about his jacket, and I've seen that jacket, just wearing that thing around would have made anybody strong and shoulder. As a freshman, he was the fastest sprinter that Maquoketa had, and he had an opportunity to be one of the few to letter 5 times in any one sport at Maquoketa High School. That was baseball. For his senior year, he chose to work in order to be able to save money to go to school. He never got that opportunity. My dad's favorite story of Ron comes from a track meet in Marion in 1963. My dad had graduated. My uncle was a sophomore. Dad sat in the stands next to Coach Jim Dahlberg. And noticed that my uncle was entered in the 440. He'd never run the 440, and at this track meet was the defending Iowa State Class 1A champion. My dad asked Coach Dahlberg why was he entering Ron in this. He said Ron was getting a little cocky, needed to be taken down a peg or two. Ron won the race. I don't know if my uncle was cocky or not. There may be some of you in this room that do, but I don't think Coach Dahlberg's plan worked. One of the biggest meets of the year in and year out, the Gateway Classic. Multiple schools from around eastern Iowa gathered to run some of the best at their work. It was a rare feat to repeat as a champion in any event at the Gateway. My uncle won the 100 as a freshman, a sophomore, and a junior. Only an injury kept him from the opportunity to repeat 4 times. My uncle's time on this earth was short, but I think he made a big splash. The ripples from that splash created positive things for this community and far beyond. I'd like to take a moment to thank Lowell Schroeder for spearheading the movement that got this started. Those of you in here that sent emails, made phone calls, sent applications, that got these 3 men acknowledged this evening. I'd like to thank the committee for taking those applications seriously and honoring those men tonight. I only wish my uncle could be here to accept the award for himself. Semper Fi, Brady.
Sergeant Gerald Powlistha's name can be found on panel 23 West, line 78, the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. Sergeant Gerald Powlistha is buried in Ronald Cemetery, Western District. Corporal Ronald Martin Stein's name can be found on panel 19E, line 75, the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. Stein is buried in the Geyser Cemetery, Geyser, Iowa. Rest in peace, Marine. Lastly, Staff Sergeant Ronald Sayers, D, 1st Battalion, Air Mobile, 5th Cavalry Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division, Air Mobile. Maquoketa High School class of 1964. Ron was the son of Hugo Sagers. Ron Sagers was a popular student and an outstanding athlete. He was a 3-sport letterman. He was a 4-year letterman in wrestling, a 3-time WOMAC champ, and 2-time state qualifier. Ron also lettered in football and track, having successful careers in both. He was also on student council and participated in vocal music. After high school, Ron attended the University of Dubuque, where he continued his wrestling career. He was an Iowa Conference champion twice. Ron was also in student government and a president of his fraternity. Ron was married less than a year to Lynn Buell before he was drafted in October 1968. His tour in Vietnam, I believe, started November 11th, 1969. Staff Sergeant Sagers was actually among the first U.S. troops to enter Cambodia. His death occurred on May 22nd, 1970, near Oran, Cambodia. It was there his action in battle earned him the Silver Star. The citation reads, "The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress July 9th, 1918, amended by an Act of July 25th, 1963, takes pride in presenting the Silver Star posthumously to Staff Sergeant Ronald Sayers, United States Army, for gallantry in connection with military operations against an opposing force in the Republic of Cambodia, while serving with Company D, 1st Battalion, Cavalry Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division. and a large number of enemy snipers suddenly opened fire, wounding several friendly troops, including Staff Sergeant Sagers. Ignoring his wounds, he began treating and evacuating the wounded. Placing his men in a defensive perimeter, he then moved from position to position to maintain control and encourage his comrades. His gallant action was in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflects great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. The Silver Star Medal is the third highest combat decoration that can be awarded to a member of the U.S. Armed Forces. The only higher awards are the Service Crosses and the Medal of Honor. Staff Sergeant Sagers was also posthumously awarded the Bronze Star with first and second oak leaf clusters. The first oak leaf cluster represents heroism. He also received his second Air Medal, the Purple Heart, and Good Conduct Medal. Staff Sergeant Sagers was 25 years old. With us tonight are Ron's nieces, Ray Zimmerman, Rhonda Hulsby, and Kelly Kaplan. Staff Sergeant Ronald Ray Sagers' name can be found on paddle 10 West, line 83 of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. Staff Sergeant Sagers is buried in the East Iron Hill Cemetery. Rest in peace, Ron. Being the chaplain of the Upon Reckoning Post 3633 of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, I would like to offer the prayer we use each month for our departed comrades. Lord Jesus Christ, you have shown us that death is but the gateway to a more glorious life, and that we must not fear its coming. We know also that neither life nor death can separate us from your love. Assure us yet again that our departed comrades are not lost to us, but sharing new life with you in the kingdom of our Father, where we shall, in your good time, be reunited. We know they will be with you forever. In closing, we have 3 men, 5 Purple Hearts, 2 Bronze Stars, the Silver Star, and numerous other awards. Gerald Powlistha, Ron Stein, and Ron Sagers not only honorably and heroically represented the high school, their community, and their country, they died for it. To our 3 fallen Vietnam veterans, the words they never got to hear: thank you for your service, and welcome home.
And to help honor Gerald, Ron, and Ron, we have a trophy that we would like to present to the VFW to keep at the post home if there ever is one again, or to keep with you. And we also have one individually for each family. So, Lowell, I'm going to give you our appreciation trophy for the group themselves, all right? For the Sagers family, I want to present that to you and say thank you for your family's service. The Powlistha family, can you hand that back? Thank you. And for the Stein family, once again, Lowell, thank you for your leadership. Mr. Davis, I know, is in the crowd as well. Thank you for the leadership there as well. And ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our 3 fallen soldiers, Gerald, Ron, and Ron. Thank you.